Hello, Team Awaken Space. I am so excited to be here. If you are tuning in, drop in the comments where you're from. I always like to see what city and state everybody is tuning in from. If we haven't already met, if we didn't meet at Celebrate, my name is Ashley South, and I am located here in lovely Bakersfield, California. Lovingly, not so lovingly referred to as the armpit of California. Hi, Alexis. I see some Bakersfield people jumping in. They know all about the armpit. Woo! Okay, so today we're going to be talking about something called social equity. It's something I bring up often, and it's something that it's the basis and the starting point and the whole meat and potatoes of your business. So we're going to talk about it. Hi, y'all. Okay, I'm seeing comments. Great. So we're going to talk about social equity. So I want you to think about social equity is what you need in order to make sales, enroll people, build a team, get people to want to try your products, get people to trust you, okay? So social equity is something that we build over time in a social selling business, all right? So in terms of an analogy, I want you all to think about social equity in social selling as the bank, okay? Social equity is your bank. It's your Wells Fargo, all right? The way you get more social equity, your currency, is what I'm going to call the like, no, trust factor, okay? So like, no, trust. That means that people, in order to buy your product, join your team, trust what you have to say, for you to have clout, for you to be an influencer, for you to be a social seller, people need to like you, they need to know you, they need to feel like they know you, and they need to trust you, okay? So the like, no, trust factor is key, and I want you to always remember that. Your goal in social selling is to get more like, no, trust factors. That's your money. So your bank is social equity. Your like, no, trust factor, that's your money. That's your currency, okay? And so in order to build a bigger business, you need to start collecting more like, no, trusts with people, okay? With people you know, with strangers, with people on the interweb, with whatever, with randoms. You need more like, no, trust factor, okay? So how do we get more social equity? Okay, so some of you, I know you have these goals, and I love big, hairy ass goals. It's like my favorite thing ever. How do you get them? Social equity. You need more like, no, trust factors in your social equity bank. Okay, so some of you are like, I want to hit ambassador 6K. Great. Do you have enough in your social equity bank to make a withdrawal? So see, you've got to be depositing every day with consistently showing up to build that social equity in order for you to make a deposit to enroll someone, to get someone to buy your products. If you guys want to get to the point where you're making a post and making sales or having people come into your inbox, we're going to talk about a number of things that you can do to build that social equity, to get that social equity bank so high so that you have that consistency and you have those people that like, know, and trust you and trust your judgment and want to use your products, okay? So how do we build on that like, no, trust factor and get social equity in our bank? How do we get enough social equity so we can make a big withdrawal? Like a big withdrawal, which means making sales, enrolling, getting teammates. One, authenticity. I want you to stop thinking about perfectly curated stuff. I want you to stop looking at these influencers that have 500,000 people on Instagram that have perfectly chiseled abs and no cellulite. That is not what we want from you. That is not what people relate to. That is not what people tune into. I want you to stop stressing about going live because it's not perfect. I want you to be willing to drop the phone. I want you to be okay with having a booger. I want you to be okay with saying 60,000 times. That is what people want. People do not want a robot that talks like this on a live and then is perfect. I don't want to see that. No one wants to see that. So if you want to build like, no, trust, if you want more like, no, trust in your social equity bank, you need to be authentic. That's it. End of the day. I love Jesus, but I cuss a little. I'm going to own it. Are there people out there that judge me? Probably. Are they my people? No, not really. I'm not really trying to sell to them. Next is relatability. This is a huge one, and I get it from people so many times. They're like, I just don't have anything exciting. Ashley, you're so funny. I'm like, do you realize that 95% of the people out there think that they can't do what you do? They're not going to join your team because we're only posting this glorious, glamorous lifestyles. That's not relatable. People don't live lives like that. Post when you burn the toast. Post when your dog barfs on the carpet. Post who you are. They need to like you and know you and trust you. And the best way to get trust is to be someone that people relate to, okay? Another way is asking questions. So many times I hear people that are like, I just don't know how to build relationships. I don't know how to talk to people. Guess what? You don't have to talk, just ask them questions. Just ask people questions. This is my go-to with anything. I don't have to know all the answers. And those of you that know me in person know that I'm a screaming introvert. Now, the internet is a magical thing, and you see a lot of social sellers who would have been very unsuccessful 10, 15 years ago in the network marketing industry. It's a game changer. The internet is an equalizer. I can come off looking as brave as I want, but I really struggle person to person in human contact form. Online, I'm okay. I just ask questions about someone. It's like this crazy concept. Stop talking about yourself. Start asking someone else about what they like. What do you do for work? What do you do for a living? Oh my God. Wow, how close are your kids in age? Wow, it must be so hard. Are you busy? Like, wow, is your baby sleeping through the night? Oh my gosh, where did you get your Australian Shepherd dogs? Ask questions, period. The number one word that people love, their favorite word in their mouth is their own name. Use that to your advantage to build a relationship with them. The more you know about someone, okay, the better friends you become with them. Another thing is volume. And this is one that I know that we're working on a lot. It's something I'm working on. But volume, getting more followers, getting reels to go viral, getting in those interest groups, getting more people to see who you are is important. We're going to talk about it. You shouldn't just be focusing on quality and you shouldn't just be focusing on quantity. You should be focusing on both. The more people you have to build relationships with and the more people that feel like they like, know, and trust you, the better it is for your business, all right? That's why we want to do those TikToks and the 30-day challenge and the reels. That's why. You want to get in front of more faces to build the like, no, trust factor. Another one is connecting over shared interests. Hello, interest groups. Are some of these things I'm talking about sounding kind of like they come from the daily workflow? Because they do. They do. All the stuff I'm talking about is going to be achieved in your daily workflow. The next one is lives, you guys. I built a very successful business around lives. I'm a hot mess. And some of you guys have seen ones. Like one time I had too many seltzers and sold some things. And if I sold enough things on a live, I showed my tramp stamp from when I was 18. So embarrassing. But people loved it. They still talk about it to this day. You need to show your face. I want to ask you, if you're going to buy anything from someone and they're just if it's just like an avatar profile that's like a cartoon, do you like them? Do you even know them? Do you trust them? Because I sure as shit don't trust an avatar profile. I'm like, who is this sketchy ass person? All right, nope, no thank you. People need to feel like they're having coffee with you on a live. It should not be rehearsed. It should be normal and authentic. People have got to see your face. You've got to be showing your face. It doesn't mean you have to be all made up all the time. I've done lives getting my hair done with a face mask. You have to go live. You have to go live often because you cannot build like, no, trust factor without people seeing you live and seeing your personality, seeing your mistakes. That's normal. That helps your sales, okay? Consistency is a big one, a huge one. You have got to be consistent. I see so many people micro quitting on this one. Oh, I just can't build a team. It's been 2 weeks. I haven't made any sales. So they micro quit. They quit instead of keep going. The best way to build trust with someone is to show up consistently online. I have people, and I used to post a meme every morning in my old VIP group, and they were always inappropriate, highly inappropriate memes. But I had people that didn't even buy from me, but they tuned in just to get my funnies each morning. Do you know how many relationships I built? And then they would refer a grandma or a cousin or an aunt to me. Maybe they didn't even buy from me, but people learned that I was consistent with what I did and I showed up in a consistent way. I got more of that like, no, trust factor from people. So you have got to be consistent when you're doing this, regardless of the results. Results will not show up right away, you guys. You have to commit to the purpose and you've got to be consistent. Just like you're not going to be a millionaire overnight, but if you show up to your job every day and you put money in your bank, right now we're talking about the social equity bank, eventually you're going to have enough social equity in your bank to make a withdrawal, to get that enrollment, to build a team, to get to Ambassador 6K, okay? Consistency is one of the most important things, but one of the things I see people dropping first. Consistency. Show up even when you don't get results. Be a problem solver. Sales is all about solving people's problems. Help them. Help them. When you're building these relationships with people, suggest your favorite restaurant, suggest a recipe. That builds a trust factor. If you have helped them in other problems, provided solutions, connected with them on some issue, if you send them an article about, and it does not have to be about what we're selling, guys. Help people in everyday life, they get trust in you. Then when they're talking about their, indigestion or their IBS, and you go in, you see your opening and you go for it, you've already built that trust. You have it in the bank. It's in your social equity bank. Solve problems, help people. Another one is building genuine relationships. Not being a spammy pammy all the time. It's okay to just be a genuine person and make friendships. I want you to think about how you feel when someone's just up in your inbox trying to sell at your face the second you add them on Facebook, or someone that has actually taken the time to genuinely get to know you, have a couple conversations with you. Maybe you've connected on a personal level a few times, and then they come in with a sale or a recommendation on a product. It's a big difference for me. It makes a huge difference for me. So I really like to I do focus on volume. I want all those random followers, so they, just like Melissa taught us, they get into your funnel, but that's not all you do. You have got to be a genuine human being, and you've got to be a likable person. Again, like, no, trust factor. They gotta like you, period. People don't want to buy from someone they don't like. Like, this is not rocket science here. Engagement. You've got to be engaging on, you cannot expect engagement if you yourself are not engaging on other people's things. And please don't just make it other IBOs. That helps no one here in this group. You need to be engaging with your niche audience, your potential customers. And then lastly, I want to talk about, a few other ones. Stories. Okay. I love using Angie as an example. We all feel like we know Angie, like we're her best friend. Do you know why? Because she's in stories. She talks, she shows things that she buys. We see her face. We get to hear her cute accent. I feel like I would buy from Angie. I feel like I know Angie. Stories are huge, you guys. And then lastly, stop censoring yourself. Stop trying to appeal to this huge, broad audience. The whole world isn't your potential buyer. The whole world isn't your potential teammate. You need to be authentically yourself and stop censoring yourself, because you need to find your people. You want to find your loyal people that really connect with you and they're like, oh my gosh. And if you're doing it right and you're building social equity online, people should feel like you're talking exactly to them when you're building your brand, okay? So think about that. Think about what you represent, all the things that we're learning in the daily workflow on branding. You really shouldn't be just watering yourself down so much that no one really relates to you, because they're like, well, this girl kind of like is blah. Like, be yourself and be who you are. So that's how you build social equity. Here's the deal, you guys. It takes time. Stop comparing yourself to everyone else around you. You know why? When I started with my last company 2 years ago, I had great success. Do you know why? Before that, I worked in public relations. I handled social media for a large government agency. And whereas I wasn't building a business, I was building it for that government, for that law enforcement agency. I learned. I was building social equity with humans for a long period of time. I worked in public relations. So I came into this business with a long-standing ability of showing up consistently, showing my face, doing live videos. So it was something that I was used to doing and I had been doing. So there are people that will come into the network marketing arena and they're going to shoot up much faster than you, who maybe has only ever used your Facebook for posting pictures of your kids opening Christmas presents every Christmas. Okay, see how there's a disparity here? That doesn't mean that you suck. It doesn't mean you're never going to be successful. It just means that you're going to need a little bit more time and consistency to reach this person's level. The good news is anyone can get here. Not just this person that's been doing it for 5 years is going to reach success. It might take you a little bit longer. But if you show up consistently, if you do the daily workflow every single day, you will get here. But please, dear Lord, stop messaging us and saying that this isn't working. I haven't made a sale and it's been 2 weeks. I'm like, yeah, go check your bank. Go check your social equity bank. You have not been making enough deposits, girlfriend. Come on, dude. Like, you haven't been making enough. You've got to build that over time. You're not going to be able to go take out a home loan when you first start your job at McDonald's. All right. And some people are coming in with a PhD and maybe they start making more per hour. We all have you cannot be comparing yourself. We all have different starting points, but we can all get to the same end goal. Does that make sense, you guys? So stop comparing and realize that we all have this ability to build massive social equity. It just depends on if you're willing to show up, do the work, do your daily workflow every day, and if you're willing to commit to the amount of time. Not everybody starts at the same starting point. So I also like to compare it to CJ, you guys. CJ had a huge, massive following and has huge like, no trust factor. Everybody knew who CJ was, and she was out of the game for over a year. But you know what? That like, no trust factor that she had in her bank lasted, it stayed there, and it even gained interest. She found other ways to show up online. She was posting motivational quotes every morning that people came to expect from her. She still found ways to build that social equity even when she wasn't in the social selling specific arena, okay? So I want you to think about how important social equity is to the social selling business. It is everything. It's everything that you got, and it does not happen overnight. You simply do not start social selling, make a post, and expect 17 orders. It does not work that way. You've got to put in the work, all right? So this is why we all have different starting points. Anyone can build social equity. And the great thing is that the internet is a great social equalizer. You can be an introvert like me. You can be awkward. You can be bumbly around. That's okay. We all have the same chance at building social equity. It just depends on if you want to show up and do your daily workflow every time. Here's the deal. Maybe you have a big goal. Maybe you're like, yeah, but I want to hit 6K ambassador this month. Then you know what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to double down. It's just like if you wanted to get that enough money for a down payment for a home or something else. You're either going to have to work more hours or you're going to have to put in more intensity. Really simple stuff here, guys. You can show up and do your hour of your daily workflow each day, but you're going to build consistent social equity over time. Now, if you have a bigger goal that you want to hit and it's not happening fast enough for you, double down in your time, in your hours, or double down in your intensity. All right? You're going to keep doing the same steps that build social equity. You're just going to have to do more of it, either at a faster rate or for longer periods of time. Simple concept here. So I just wanted to touch base on building that like, no trust factor. That's your currency. At the end of the day, that's what you're going to put in the bank. So when you want to make that withdrawal to get a purchase to build a team, you need to make sure that you have a lot of like, no trust factors for that social equity in social selling. I'm going to go through and see if there's any questions. You guys feel free to ask any questions before I jump off here. Let's see. Hopefully my little bank analogy was not too dumb. Definitely, Lynn, Carrie, sorry, I always say Lynn, you have to be likable. And you guys, being likable, it's not like, I want you to think about the person that always has to be a topper, always interrupts conversations, always has to be right, always has to talk about them. At the end of the day, is that the person you're excited to go to a dinner party with? Nope, no, it's not. I want you to think about the most likable people that you love. Usually they are great at asking questions. Usually they are sincere listeners. Usually they are genuine humans, and you probably have a very high like, no trust factor with those people. So just be that person. Just be that person. Just be that way, okay? You don't have to be all up in someone's face all the time for them to like, know, and trust you. All right, let's see. Any questions? How do I keep from looking like all I'm doing is selling? Great question. You have to be relatable. Someone that is a robot that is like, oh, I'm here to sell, and every one of your posts is selling, that's like, people are going to tune out to that. People want to buy, and Melissa said this, people want to buy, but people don't constantly want to be sold to. You know what you're selling people on at the end of the day in social selling? Do you know what you're selling people on? You. Guess what? We're all selling the same products. I don't know if you know this. We're all selling the same products. We all have very different customers. Do you know why? Because people are buying us. So that's what you need to be selling. That's what you need to be putting out there. I don't know if you guys caught Melissa's live yesterday on her political beliefs, but I loved it. I was like, yes, she's speaking to me. It had nothing to do with sales. I am buying into her. So you guys really need to show up in an authentic way. Show your life. Show who you are. Show other things, and you sell in there. Okay. So it shouldn't be sales all day. Definitely we are selling, but what you sell is you at the end of the day. Good question. Yeah, you don't have to you guys don't have to be experts. You don't have to know all the answers. Ask questions. Yep, I agree. And not everybody's gonna like you. You don't want everybody to like you. If you think everybody likes you, you're doing it wrong. You need to find your niche audience, your target audience. You need to find your tribe. Stories do sell, Brandy. I agree. CJ, what happens if they don't like me? Okay, at the end of the day, if someone is judging you or saying nasty things, that's not your target audience. They were never going to buy from you in the first place. Move on. There are a million I don't even know how many billions of people are in the world, but we have this crazy thing called the internet. You don't have to appeal to everyone. Get okay with people not liking you. Because for every one person that's like, oh my gosh, that girl says she's a Christian, but she just said the F word. I have 5 other women out there that are like, oh my God, Ashley Sell, that's my people. I've been looking for a Bible study too with women that I can connect with that aren't judgy. So you guys, put that down. Stop being a people pleaser. Put that shit down and be your truest, authentic self to socially sell. That is what people check into, and that's what people want to buy from. Seeing if there's any other questions here. What if you really don't have a life? That's relatable. Guess what? If you're like, if you are just home with kids and you just feel like I have nothing to relate to other women, you do. You got to find it, but you do. Maybe knitting is your thing. Maybe staying home with your kids is your life. Guess what? There's a million other people out there that are like that. That are like, oh my God, she has a successful business and she stays home and knits all day too. You guys have lives. Now, you're just comparing the thing is that you're comparing yourself. You've got to stop doing it. Your life doesn't look like anyone else's life, but there's a million people out there, and I assure you they relate easier to you than to someone out there that's going to Tahiti every other month on Instagram and she has no cellulite. Sorry, but that's never going to be my life. So good questions, you guys. Good questions. So in closing, Chris says, how do I overcome the negative stigma against MLMs? Ooh, I love this question. Thanks for asking. You know how you overcome the negative stigma of MLMs? One, you never address it. There are plenty of people that have been burned, have been like, hey, do you want to come have coffee with me? And then they find themselves at like some like shindig, like where they're being sold to. That's at the end of the day, I'm so sorry that happens to people. That should never happen to people. Of course, some people are jaded. Of course, people have had it forced down their throat. Do you know how you combat that anti-MLM stigma? You be different. You don't be that person, okay? If someone makes a post and they're like, I want a recommendation, no MLMs, please. Don't be the person that goes and posts anyways. Don't displease people and their wishes. You know how you show up differently? You show up, you be authentic, you stay in your lane, you focus on yourself, and you be a good person. It's when you get all spammy-pammy and people are like, not really sure. I'm just like, hey, you know what? That's okay. I respect that. I love you, girl. How are your kids? You know how I get people to buy into MLM? I don't act like I'm an MLM. That's how. I sell. People know I'm selling. I don't force it down their throat. I do not force it down their throat. So if you want to break the stigma of MLM, just like I know how Lab was created to break the icky feeling of network marketing, be different. Don't be that person. And your example will set the tone on how they feel about network marketing. Let's see. Any other questions before I jump off? Yep. If you lose people, that's okay. And you guys, I'm coming from a different business where I sold something else. And so this might happen to you. It's happening to me right now. As I transition, a lot of people that were following me before were interested in that industry only. So I'm actually I feel like I'm doing so much better. I'm making great money. I'm getting great customers, but I start to see my followers drop a little bit on Instagram. Guess what? That's normal. I'm finding my people. I don't want those people. They're not going to buy from me anyways. Get the heck out. I will gradually, as I build more like, no trust, I'm going to build that social equity with my future people, with my tribe. Okay. So stop looking at numbers. Stop worrying if I don't have enough likes, but focus on building social equity. You build it over time every day. You build it by showing up and doing your daily workflow every single day. Do not message your upline being like, this isn't working for me if you're not showing up doing your daily workflow every day. I would encourage you to show up, do your daily workflow consistently every day for 3 months, and you tell me if you don't have major social equity wins. You will. Let's talk. But other than that, you guys, thank you for having me on. I hope that this helped a little bit. I hope that there were some tips and tricks that will help you in building social equity, because in my opinion, it is everything that we need in the social selling arena. Bye, you guys. Have a great day.